Today we're going to take a look at the 2022 Honda Shadow Aero 750. We'll talk about what Honda changed for this year, where it fits into Honda's current cruiser model lineup, what options you have, and its specs and features. Plus we'll start it up and show you what it sounds like and a lot more. But first, if you guys find any info in this video helpful, please take a second and hit the like button. Liking the video and commenting below really helps with growing this channel through YouTube's algorithm, and I really appreciate the help. So first up, where does the Aero fit into Honda's current cruiser model lineup? We're in a tricky transition as Honda hasn't announced the entire 2022 model lineup just yet, and we'll have some updates within the coming weeks, so this info will change. The first model in the cruiser lineup is the Rebel 300 at $45.99, and then you jump up to the Rebel 500 at $62.99. Then you have the Shadow Phantom 750 at $78.99, followed up by its brother that we're looking at today, the Shadow Aero 750 at $77.99. Then you have the Rebel 1100 at $92.99, and that bike is followed up by the Fury 1300 at $105.99. I want to take a quick second and say thank you to Southern Honda Power Sports for opening their doors to me and allowing me to come pick through their inventory for these videos. They are a massive Honda Power Sports dealer here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, with tons of inventory from new Hondas to used Harleys and everything in between that they sell to people from all over the USA. So check out the link in the description below and head over to their website to see if they can save you some money on your next toy. And now that we've got that out of the way, let's jump into some more info on the Aero. Now, do you have any options when buying this bike? Kinda. Unlike the Aero sibling, the Phantom, with the Aero you have the option of choosing between standard brakes and Honda's anti-lock braking system, ABS. But keep in mind, whether you choose ABS or not will determine whether or not you get a blacked out engine or silver, and it will also determine whether or not you get a disc brake in the rear or a drum brake. Now, if you think that's a little weird, you're not alone. So how about color options?
Nope.
No options to choose from there, but thankfully they did knock it out of the park on our sole color choice this year with the two-tone combo they call Ultra Blue Metallic. I'm thinking this paint scheme paired up with classic styling needs some white walls to really make it pop, but what do you guys think? And next up, what did Honda change for this year? Aside from taking the Pearl Stallion Brown and black color options from 2020, as Honda didn't build a 2021 and replacing them with this blue, we have a $100 price increase for this year as well. Next up, let's jump into the chassis and suspension. The Aero has a slim and lightweight, for a cruiser that is, double cradle steel frame. It has a large diameter single tube backbone and pressed steel pivot plates that come together to bring in a low chassis height while allowing for a low 25.9 inch seat height. While the seat rails and long rear fender are supported by cast subframe, while up front the large metal front fender helps tie in the classic styling. Tying in with that theme are swept back handlebars, which help make it not only look different from the Phantom, but also give you a different feeling while riding down the road, even though they're built off the same platform. Its overall dimensions match the Phantom with a 64.6 inch wheelbase, 5.1 inches of ground clearance with a 34-degree rake, and 6.3 inch trail. For suspension up front, you have a non-adjustable 41mm fork with 4.6 inches of travel that is attached to a billet aluminum triple tree. And out back you have dual shocks with a 5-position spring preload adjustability and 3.5 inches of travel. Now when it comes to brakes, you have a single disc brake up front with a twin piston caliper on a 296mm rotor, and that is the same whether you choose the standard or ABS model. While out back you have a 180mm drum brake unless you opt for the ABS model, and then you get to swap out that drum for a single piston caliper disc brake. And those brakes are helping slow down a set of spoke wheels, 17 inch up front with a 120/90 tire, and in the rear you have a 15 inch wheel with a 160/80 tire. And speaking of the wheels, if you opt for the ABS model, that's another difference between the two of them, you get chrome wheels instead of black. Now let's get into the engine and drivetrain. It has a water-cooled 52-degree 745cc engine. The compact shape of it allows the frame's central backbone to be lower, again helping to make this bike feel as low as possible. The engine features a long stroke, single pin crankshaft to help with low RPM performance. Plus, the single overhead cam engine has a 3-valve cylinder head with dual spark plugs, a design that Honda debuted back in 1983. With this, the combustion chambers have 2 intake valves and a single larger exhaust valve that helps achieve a 20% greater valve area than a comparable sized 2-valve engine, in return helping bring in more flow and increased torque at a lower RPM. And with that being said, this engine pumps out 44.6 horsepower at 5,500 RPM and 47.9 foot-pounds of torque at 3,500 RPM. The engine sips fuel from a 3.7 gallon tank, and Honda used to rate it at 56 miles per gallon, but they don't really advertise those numbers here in the States anymore. And helping you put that power to the ground is a wide ratio 5-speed transmission paired up with a drive shaft, so you don't have to worry about the maintenance of a belt or a chain. And speaking of maintenance, there's not much to worry about, as you can see here from the maintenance schedule in the owner's manual. Plus, all of these engine specs are shared with the Shadow Phantom as well. Now let's start the bike up and show you what it sounds like, even though it doesn't shoot flames like in our Phantom video, and then we'll come back for a few more things. And that's the 2022 Honda Shadow Aero. All in all, these bikes are hard to beat for the money. Could they stand to see some upgrades in a few different areas? 100%. This bike has been largely unchanged since it was introduced back in 2004, aside from when they skipped the 2010 production year to introduce the Phantom, and in that time frame they threw fuel injection at the Aero for its return in 2011. The future for it will be interesting, as Honda has played around with quite a few different Shadow models over the years, and the only ones left standing are the Shadow Aero and Shadow Phantom. Now, the cruiser market isn't as fast paced as some of the other segments when it comes to needing updates, but I still think these could stand for some tweaks here and there to really help keep them relevant in today's market. Now, we need classically styled cruisers, so I'm not saying they need to go ham on it and turn it into something entirely different, but it could use some love in a couple different areas, in my opinion. However, on the flip side, you have people that buy these just for the sole reason that it hasn't been changed in forever, and it's perfect for them. Long story short though, this is a great cruiser for new riders, and even if you have 30 years of experience but don't want an 800-pound cruiser to fight with around town. Plus, you have those that don't care about all of the new electronics being thrown at bikes, and they just want something simple, like what they used to be, so to say. So if you're in the market for a mid-sized cruiser, this is one I'd add to the list to check out. But on that note, before I ramble on even more, what do you guys think about the Aero? And what would you guys like to see Honda change on this bike in the near future? Let me know what you think down in the comments section, and I'll be joining in on the conversation too. But that's a wrap for this one, guys. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate the support, and we'll see you in the next one.